Sorry. Good evening, everyone. We're ready to start tonight's meeting. It's 5:39. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. De La Vega is absent. Ms. Garcia Robes.
Present.
Ms. Perez is absent. Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Tunidor.
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. Junco.
Present.
Madam President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Okay, the invocation led by the city clerk and pledge of allegiance by myself.
God, we pray for your guidance and direction and benefit of our city. We pray for Mayor Bovo and his family, as well as for Council President Garcia Robes, to guide the city in the best interest of its citizens in her new role. Amen.
States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, meeting guidelines.
For the record, Councilwoman Perez is present. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Individuals should be respectful of the elected officials and staff that are on the dais and make every effort to speak with a moderate tone using appropriate language and avoiding personal attacks. Members of the public in the audience shall refrain from shouting or making remarks from their seats to the mayor, council members, or staff sitting on the dais. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
Okay, moving on to comments and questions. Who's our first
First
registered?
registered speaker is Barbara Canales.
You make a little bit bigger. Oh, that's it. That's, yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Barbara Canales, 1681 West 68th Street. I'm here tonight on Earth Day to request number 1, reinforce, or number 2, create a new law of no more hacking trees and no more down trees. Picture number 1, that canopy, it's beautiful. You think it would be Miami Lakes, Miami Spring, maybe Miami Shores. That's actually Hialeah, 2 blocks away from my block. And it used to look like that. Can you please show the next pictures? This is how it looks now. Gone completely. And it wasn't a hurricane. Thank you, City of Hialeah. Each and one of you contributed to that. Their canopy is gone. The trees help us for oxygen, to clean and give us oxygen. It also provides us shade, increases property value. Can you keep going to the next picture? So from the canopy, beautiful. This is what we have now. The trees were hacked, some trees were removed. Can you please keep going? Look at that. That is more than 25% that the DERM law requires. Those trees where, look at, that's definitely more than 20, that's like 80% hack. I'm surprised that the city is not being fined by Durham by now. Having said that, I have 2 trees left on my block. It gives me a lot of leaves, a lot of brownish, but it rinses out with water. It has stopped so many car accidents to go and hit our cars on the parkway. Speeders the cars, they end up like this, hogging the trees, metal, hogging trees. It's ridiculous. That's why I requested for a speeding sign, I mean, but not 30, 25. This is what Miami Lakes sent to me. I wanted to inform you that the process of removing a tree is lengthy one and not guaranteed at all. Trees that belong into the town of Miami Lakes will be removed. Miami Spring, you remove 1 tree, you plant 3. So please, just like can you show the last picture? This is how Hialeah looks. That's a block away. The one before one. Keep going. The one with no, keep the last one, that one. This is how a block away. That's how my block looks like. A parking lot, a commercial, and also, please, create a law, just like you have the commercial cars bring home, create a law to protect our trees. That's all we're asking. That used to be covered by the canopy. Now we see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next registered speaker. It's on 2.36.
Frank de la Paz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Frank de la Paz, 11000 Southwest 104th Street, Miami, Florida, residents of District 10, unfortunately. Good evening. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the mayor. Hasta la vista. It's not the first time that I say that I say goodbye to you and welcome you back, so don't make it a stranger. That's all I have to say. Godspeed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next registered speaker.
Aribel Hernandez.
Ahí, en el micrófono.
Sí, pero yo no hablo inglés.
Ok, ella le va a
Yo
traducir
te
lo que
traduzco
tiene
mientras
que,
tú
cuando
hablas.
empiece a hablar, dar un momentico para que ella te traduzca.
Y el tiempo lo tenemos ahí.
Nombre,
Buenas
nombre,
tardes.
nombre y dirección para el récord.
Arisbel Hernández,
Good
5834
afternoon,
West,
Aribel
18
Hernández.
Avenida, Hialeah, Florida, 3302. Durante nuestra participación en el equipo de natación de Hialeah, envié varios correos de manera respetuosa
During our time in the swimming team of the city of Hialeah,
solicitando ayuda para los niños debido al problema del calentador de la piscina.
I have solicited help in regards to the warming of the pool.
El entrenador Joaquín, yo lo percibía como una persona de la tercera edad.
The trainer, Joaquin, I perceived him as a person of third.
Condolencia física. Yo
Me-
creía que su presencia era segura para mí.
I thought that his presence was secure to me.
De repente, ocurrió un suceso que me provocó un sentimiento
Eventually, something provoked a sentiment in me,
aterrador y una parálisis inmediata.
terrorizing and immediate paralysis.
Mi hijo menor de edad estaba presente y es testigo directo de todo lo que sucedió.
My son was present when this all happened.
A partir de ese momento ocurrieron varios incidentes en cuales el niño
From that time, there was multiple incidents when the child,
menor de edad continuó estando en el centro de la situación.
the minor, was in the center of this situation.
El niño tiene una necesidad médica real, no se trata de un capricho, necesita nadar, es parte fundamental de su tratamiento.
The child has a disability. Swimming is part of him getting better. It's not him wanting to be a certain way.
para evitar una cirugía riesgosa que podría poner en peligro su vida
to avoid a surgery that could put his life at risk
y para no convertirse en una carga pública.
and to not become a burden on the public.
Vivo con el temor de que se niegue esa posibilidad y eso destruya su futuro.
I live with the burden of that being a possibility and that destroys his future.
Toqué muchas puertas con amor, buscando una solución con amor
I knocked on many doors trying to find a solution to this
para
issue,
proteger la vida de mi hijo,
to protect the life of my son,
pero ninguna se me abrió.
but none of the doors opened for
Yo
me.
nunca quise llegar aquí. y Dios lo
I never
sabe.
wanted to make it here. But
Fue después de tocar insistentemente varias puertas y no encontrar respuesta
I have
que-
found no solution knocking on many doors.
que me vi obligada a venir aquí por la vida de mi hijo.
And now I am obligated to come here for the life of my child.
El viernes 4 recibí un correo electrónico de los trabajadores de la ciudad acuático
Friday the 4th, I received an email from the staff members at the Aquatic Center
donde informaban que ya no había un plan B para los atletas en caso de un daño a la piscina. Yo contesté
where they informed
respetuosamente
me
el
that there
correo
is no plan B for athletes.
expresando mi preocupación por el bienestar de mi hijo y por los otros niños. Siempre he luchado por todos los niños, para que todos los niños estén bien.
I tried to express the concerns for not only my child, but other children as
Sin
well.
embargo, la administración me sacó con policías ese día, a mí, a mi niño.
I was taken out by police that day, by the administration.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, through the chair.
You're recognized.
I'm sorry, so what's the problem? I don't. Is it,
Señora, ¿cuál fue el problema? Es lo que le está preguntando.
Yo recibí un correo donde decía que los niños en el parque acuático ya no tendrían un plan B si la piscina se rompiera. No podrían ir a entrenar a otros lugares. Entonces, es que lo voy a leer porque me da
no,
pena.
no, so the pool's broken? Is that what she's saying, Mayor?
She's saying that if she received an email saying that if the pool was to break, they didn't have a plan B.
Yo tengo el email aquí.
Pero la piscina no está rota.
La piscina no está rota. Nosotros regresamos sin el calentador, cosa que a mí sinceramente no me interesa, puesto que mi niño tiene la columna en mucho problema. Entonces el agua fría lo que hace es que lo ayuda. Pero bueno, los niños, tú sabes, ayudar a los niños, por el sueño hermoso de los niños. Entonces, que no había un plan B para que si sucediera algo, los niños ya se quedaban sin piscina, no iban a entrenar más. Yo respetuosamente mandé unos emails muy bonitos, hasta con una fotografía de una piscina triste, llorando, de que los niños, que por favor, que ayuden a los niños. Entonces, en una reunión administrativa en el parque, fue con policía,
Sí.
me llevaron con
Sí,
policía. Eso fue
señora.
el sábado, el viernes
Ok.
y el lunes estaba así.
No, pero entonces tú estás hablando sobre una posibilidad que puede pasar, ¿no? La piscina está funcionando en este momento.
Sí,
Ok.
pero si
Alright.
se rompiera, no hay un plan B, ya no se podía haber un plan B. Que dijéramos sí o no, si estábamos de acuerdo en regresar así.
Ok, gracias por la explicar.
Gracias. Next registered speaker.
Dariela Pino.
Dariela Pino, 175 West, 58 Terrace, Hialeah, Florida. I'm gonna read so I could be brief and go to the point. I'm here today concerning illegal efficiencies and the persistent issue of illegal commercial trucks parking in my neighborhood. Despite the clearly visible no-through trucks sign in the intersection of West 58th Street and 58 Terrace on Palm Avenue, and the no truck parking sign directly in front of where this individual repeatedly parks, the same driver continues to violate the regulations. The individual is a resident of an unpermitted addition located at 5865 West Second Avenue, which is situated next to my property. The continued illegal parking not only poses a safety hazard and obstructs visibility, evidenced by 2 accidents that have already occurred due to commercial truck parkings or just driving by the street. But it also has escalated to include alarming behavior from this individual. On multiple occasions when I have documented his illegal parking, he has resorted to threats, cursing, bullying, and directly towards me and my husband. I would greatly appreciate your urgent attention to this ongoing matter. The combination of repeated violation of traffic laws and the threatening behavior is creating a hostile and unsafe environment. Any action you can take, I would greatly appreciate it.
If you might, please, if you could make sure that the chief has the address, I don't know if you wrote it down on a piece of paper, or chief,
Yes.
if you could just make note of the address. And that also code enforcement, should
mean-
also take note.
Thank you. This person throws cigarette butts to my sidewalk, to my driveway. He's offensive. I mean, I feel threatened in my property. So I want to know, I have called several times the code violation. They have told me they need to prove that he has a kitchen in order to be able to do something about it. But this property is not only that it's an efficiency, I think it's even an illegal construction because I could touch this property with my finger if I put it right next to my fence.
Oh, that's so complicated, but, but, if you could just make sure that the police has the address, and I will make sure that not only the police, but also that code enforcement takes a look at the property. We could do a lot about illegal parked trucks. Believe me, I don't know how long you've lived in Hialeah.
40 years.
Okay, so then you're no stranger, or you should know very well about the plight of illegal efficiencies here in the city. It's mind-boggling, mind-numbing, okay? And many mayors before me, many mayors after me are going to try to tackle this issue, and it's very, very difficult to tackle. I wish I could have an answer to wipe away an issue. What we can do is address issues, whether if it's a legal unit, code enforcement could look into it. If there's illegally parked vehicles, police and code enforcement also could look into it. Unfortunately, I can't legislate somebody out of the city, with regards to their behavior. I'm sorry that you're going through something like this. I wish you were the only person that has ever come up to me and talked about issues like this. This is a problem, but it's been a problem that's been going on for at least 40 years in the city.
I don't know if we could ask assistance from the governor or somebody. I mean, I think something needs to be done. This is like, it's terrible.
I wish, like I said, I wish there was an easy answer. Not this council, but I could tell you previous councils, I sat on this council at one time when we tried to address these issues of illegal efficiencies, unit re-inspections. It is a very, very difficult issue. And unfortunately, we deal with it here in the city of Hialeah. It's not a Hialeah issue only. It's all over the place. It's in Westchester, it's in Kendall, it's in the city of Miami. It's a symptom of supply and demand as far as housing is concerned. But issues that are more than apparent, like illegally parked vehicles, commercial vehicles that shouldn't be parked in an area, those are things that we could address. Hopefully that'll start moving the dial for you.
Thank you. I have many pictures, many videos, trash, furniture, everything. It's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry that
Ms.
you're
Pino.
going through that.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Seymour Bush.
Hi, how are you?
Who are you?
Seymour Bush, 9809 Northwest 80th Avenue, unit number 7B.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be cute. if
No,
you're gonna
that's
be
not,
cute-
no, I'm not.
When did you change your name?
I didn't. That's my artist name.
That's your artist name.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you could give us your real non-artist name.
It's not
for the record.
necessary. It's not required.
All right, well, we don't have to
Okay,
listen to
so
what you have to say.
my
either.
question to the board is it still required, notice I say required, not recommended, to show identification to enter into this building? Required statute.
I don't know if it's required by statute, okay? And I don't really know what comedy act we're doing here right now.
No, there's no
but
comedy.
we'll-
You'll get,
we'll-
you'll,
I mean,
no, no, no,
you
no.
asked the question.
It's my time.
No, no,
It's my time.
no,
It's
no,
my-
you'll have your
No, it's
time.
cool,
You
it's
will
cool,
have
it's
your
cool.
time.
I'm sure.
You will
I'm
have your
sure I
time,
will.
but
I'm
I
sure I
do
will.
want you to understand.
Yeah.
Part of the job of the administration, if si me lo quieren achacar a mí, okay, is to make sure the security of this building.
El
okay?
carnet, para enseñar
So
el carnet
if
como
you-
Fidel.
If you walk into this building and you're asked to show ID.
Enseña el
okay,
carnet
it's
porque yo soy
part-
Fidel.
It's part of the protocol, okay? So I don't know whether it's required by statute or not. If the council wanted to make it by statute, by all means you could, but I will tell you, regardless of whether it is by statute or not, the primary responsibility for those that walk in here
Right.
is to guarantee their safety.
Right,
okay?
that's
And those
policy.
in the building.
That's policy. That's policy. Policy is not law. Policy does not have the strength of law. So if you're breaking policy, you're not breaking law. So if a citizen wanted to come in, si un ciudadano quiere venir aquí and enter without showing identification, so why don't we do something? If it's going to be that way, then let's make sure only Cubans can come into the building. Right. So I'm just waiting for an answer. Is it statute or not?
You know,
Is it statute or
today's
not?
my last day.
I know.
And I'm just not, I don't feel it today.
I know.
I don't feel it today.
Then let me just address them.
Address them because I don't
Awesome.
feel it
I
today.
was addressing them. I
Okay.
was addressing. So is it statute or is it not statute? Can someone enter the building without showing identification? City attorney, maybe you could weigh in on this.
Well, if the chair wanted me to answer, I would respond. I will say this, that it is not just the past practice in this city, but I can tell you from working for various local governments that it is the norm in the county building, in the city of Miami building, in the city of Miami Beach building,
Yeah.
in the city of Coral Gables.
Yeah.
It is the prevailing norm that when you come in, you check in, you're often asked to sign a roster as well. So I would say that it's a prevalent norm. Now, whether it's a specific state statute, I would be delighted to look. I am not aware of a specific state statute about that, but I would need to look. I will tell you that there's a difference between a public forum like a city park or a speakers gathering and a municipal building where parts of it are administrative and there is a viable municipal need for security because there's computers, there's and so forth. That's what I would tell you offhand.
So as of right now, tomorrow, somebody could walk in without an ID because it's only a practice. It's not statute.
I didn't say that. I said I would have to check.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you.
Next speaker.
Gabriel Rodriguez.
My name is Gabriel Rodriguez. My address is 361 East 12th Street, Hialeah, Florida. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Madam President, the rest of the council members. I tried to figure out myself over there that the first comment I'm going to say is try to do it in English, but I'm going to be need the translator in this point, okay? Mr. Bow,
Señor Bow.
en nombre de muchos residentes, de mi familia propia y de
The
mi
names of a
parte,
lot of residents, especially of my own family.
garantizado 100%. Le estamos muy agradecidos todos de la buena labor que usted ha ejecutado
We are
con la
grateful
ayuda,
for the great labor that you have executed over your time
con la ayuda de todos los concejales,
with the help of all the members of the council,
con la ayuda de Chief Fuente
with the help of Chief Fuente
and his assistant Torres.
and his assistant Torres.
Okay. That's a specific what I tried to say and the first point. Le deseo mucha suerte en la próxima trayectoria
I wish you a lot of luck in your next trajectory.
y yo estoy seguro que no va a haber hello, you come back or something. I wish
And I'm sure that you will come back in some capacity.
I wish you to be very lucky, you and your family, because I know you are very good in business. You are a very good person, and I know you want to make it. What the other thing, I believe I can do it. I also have a comment to some departments that are working very, very good. The first one is the city clerk, with the Miss Samira. They do very good. Every time I call or somebody, neighbors or need some help, I call her and right away, or maybe the next way, they solve the problem. The other department is the code compliance. We should have over there sorry, Miss Janet, Miss Carolina, and Mr. Eddie, and I'm sorry, Eric. They're doing a very good job over there. And the other comment was is going to be about the police and the neighborhood. 90% of the Hialeah resident, they feel very safe because the job the Hialeah police are doing. You make it a 911 call, and then in 15 seconds, the police arrive at the place. That means they're very, very doing good job. Thank you, Chief, for the job, for the very good job, you and the officers, the lieutenant, the sergeants, the job you are doing. You see, I made it. And the last comment, the person was here before. I tried to tell him, hey, I am the first one to say goodbye to the person was here, the guy that was here. He said, I hope, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, I am here before, right over there on the entrance. So he got me. Thank you, Mayor. Good luck.
Okay, anyone else?
No, ma'am, that's it.
I believe there's someone else that didn't get to register. Someone that has, huh? But that's, which one's that one? No, is that I have Imari telling me?
That's an item on the
Okay.
agenda.
That's on presentations. Yeah, she thought it was something else. Okay, so moving on to presentations.
Presentation by Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Office of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust of Miami-Dade County regarding the status of the People's Transportation Plan and the SMART Plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, council members, Mr. Mayor, great to see you again, and members of the community. For the record, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust. I believe you have a PowerPoint that's up on the screen. And with me from the CITT is Mariana Price. She's our Municipal Program Manager and works with your staff on a regular basis. And here for moral support, Chito Mamila from our office, our Strategic Planning Analyst. First of all, let me say that I'm a proud product of Hialeah, born and raised just outside of Goodlet Park, and proud graduate of HML, Go Trojans, and celebrating my 30-year reunion this year. So glad to be back home. And my mother still lives here. So thank you for everything you do. All right, going to jump right into it. Next slide, or is there a clicker? Just say next. No? No clicker, okay. So 22 years ago, if you were a voter in Miami-Dade County and you went to the ballot box, you saw this on your ballot. And there was a question posed to the voters on whether you would approve a 0.5% increase in your sales tax, the half penny or medio centavo, as we like to say, that took your sales tax from 6.5% to 7%. And that was for a series of transportation projects and programs under the banner of People's Transportation Plan, or PTP. I just want to point out that the last sentence in the referendum also created the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, our organization, to oversee the use of those funds and to ensure the implementation of the promises that were made to the people. Next slide. So ultimately, that ballot was successful and it was approved, and the sales tax was increased, and the half penny began to generate revenue. In terms of the CITT, we also began that next year. And our mission at the end of the day is we're not Miami-Dade Transit, we're not FDOT, we're not even the TPO. We don't operate, maintain, build, or plan for anything. We're strictly an oversight board, a watchdog over the funds. 80% of those funds, by the way, collected by the county. The other 20+% is distributed to the municipalities. And actually, that was a deal that was worked out with the county at the time by the mayor of Hialeah, Raul Martinez. So we can thank Hialeah for the cities getting 20% of the funds. But our mission at the CITT is very focused. We monitor, audit, review, investigate the use of funds, and ensure the implementation of the PTP. Next. The CITT really is a volunteer board of 15 members, one appointed by the county mayor, one by the Miami-Dade League of Cities. The other 13 are appointed by each of the county commissioners. Your representative here in Hialeah is member David Marin, who coincidentally is also, I believe, a legislative aide with Commissioner Garcia. Next. That 15-member board, incidentally, anyone is welcome to join. Just have to be, a good person. You can't have any financial conflicts with the county. You can't be an elected official or running for office. And if you're appointed by the commissioner, you have to live in the district of the commissioner that appoints you. We do have 3 vacancies currently. Commissioner Rodriguez's district, Commissioner McGee's district, and Commissioner Bermudez, but we're always taking applications. So we encourage members of the public, if you're interested in serving on the trust, please apply. You can find the information on our website, miamidade.gov/CITT. Next slide. So the CITT is supported by myself and my staff. We report directly to the trust, not to the mayor. And we do all of the staff work, all the professional analysis and recommendations so that they are prepared to do their work. And what the trust generally does is provide a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, who ultimately has the final say on the use of surtax funds for the county. And then, of course, city councils and commissioners like yourselves have the final say on the use of funds for your cities. Next. One of our primary functions is to audit both the county and the cities on a regular basis to ensure that the funds are being used appropriately. You have the final decision, but at the end of the day, you are subject to certain parameters within which you can use those funds, right? It has to be used for transportation or transit. A minimum of 20% of what the cities get has to be used for transit, like your trolleys or on-demand service, like your freebie. The other 80% can be used for other transportation projects. Next. So that's enough about us. Let's talk about the money next. A half penny doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually adds up to quite a bit. Since its inception, we have collected almost $5 billion. And on an annual basis, we're currently collecting close to $400 million. So that little half penny does add up. 2/3 of it does go to Miami-Dade Transit to both upgrade the existing system and to expand transit. As I said, 20% was dedicated to the cities. That number has grown as new cities incorporate. Less than 10% has gone to county public works for roadway projects. 8% is in reserves. And I'm proud to say that that little 1% is what funds our office. And we're allowed to spend up to 5% for that purpose, but we purposefully keep it at 1% so that the bulk of the funds go to the people and help them move. Next. This is the same information over time. The only story to tell here is there were moments where the sales tax collection dipped during the Great Recession and then again during the pandemic. Otherwise, we generally see an increase year over year. Next.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Javier, quick question.
Yes.
For the distribution to the municipalities, is it an equal distribution or is it based
I'm
on-
sorry, I should have mentioned it's by a pro rata basis, so it's by population. Larger cities like Hialeah get a much larger percentage than smaller cities like El Portal,
Okay.
based purely on population.
Thank you.
No problem. You could skip this one. All right, so if you're really interested in the numbers, I know we have some, accounting geeks out there. I'm not going to go into this slide in detail, but there is a 40-year pro forma that documents every penny going in, every penny going out over 40 years. And it's available on our website, miamidade.gov/CITT. So one of the things we pride ourselves on is transparency. The public deserves to know what's happening with their money. If you really want to know, you look at that sheet. Next. So enough about the money. Now let's talk about what people really care about is, what's happening with it? What have you done with it? There were a number of promises made 20 plus years ago. It wasn't just what people remember, expansion of Metro Rail, although that was, of course, one of the key promises. It was also fare-free transit for all seniors, regardless of income, what is now called the Golden Passport. It was also fare-free Metro Mover. It was the 20% to the cities. It was bus service improvements. And it was also over 40 different major highway and roadway improvements. People forget that component. And of course, expansion of Metro Rail. Because at the time, that's all we had. Metro Rail was what we assumed all the expansion was going to look like. That has since changed. Next. So how have we done? Well, let's start with the municipal program. That has been one of the most successful components. The cities have done a great job with their funds. Cities like Hialeah are not only building roadways and doing traffic calming and bicycle pedestrian improvements, but you're also providing your own transit service. Originally, those took the shape of trolleys or shuttles. I know you have some of those fixed route shuttles here. But increasingly, we've also turned towards on-demand transportation, something that didn't even exist when the half penny was approved 20 years ago. So we had to change the code, and I believe it was actually under Mayor Bovo's leadership that the code was changed to allow the cities to use their funds for on-demand, like freebie. Next. So here to speak to the Hialeah specific use of the funds is Mariana Price. As I said, she works with Justo and his team very closely on your use of funds. Mariana, very quickly.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I'm Mariana Price, the Municipal Program Manager for the CITT. Just to address your question before, Hialeah gets the second largest distribution of funds in Miami-Dade County, right after City of Miami. Mayor Bovo, good to see you again. We both attended the bike immersion program last May with the delegation with the TPO. So City of Hialeah is one of my star cities. I can always rely on the City of Hialeah, Justo, Jose, Pedro, and Yamil to give me all of the compliance reports completed, accurate, on time, or early. So great job to your staff, to your team. The City of Hialeah received 14.4-ish million last year, spent more than it received. And every city is required to spend at least 20% minimum in the transit category, which helps to improve mobility. So fixed route circulator, you guys have that, the Flamingo and the Marlin route. You have on-demand services, you have both of that. This is the first year where I'm going to start recording micromobility. So to my comment earlier, we want to encourage bike pathways and consideration of different modes of transit, micromobility, scooters, bikes. So the City of Hialeah spent double the amount that it should have spent in transit, that they needed to, excuse me, yes. And already the Q1 ridership is showing to be 128,000. So you're well on your way to exceed ridership from last year. And even last year, year over year, ridership increased by 18%. So great job to the City of Hialeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, we audit all the cities. Some cities get in trouble from time to time and we have to withhold the funds or even recapture them permanently. We have never had an issue with Hialeah. You do a great job. So thank you and keep up the great work. Next.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Javier, I had another question. Is there a way to track the donor cities of this revenue? So can you track to see out of the 14 billion that was collected, how many of that came from Hialeah? Like, is there a way to track that or no? So
there's got to be a way, but we don't do it currently.
Yeah.
But I understand your question. We've never conducted that analysis. It's something we can do. Generally, again, this is sales tax.
Right.
So places like Miami Beach and downtown Miami, places with a lot of tourism, right? The tourists generate a third of that sales tax revenue. You're going to see those numbers really high. And actually places like Miami Beach, because they generate a lot of sales tax, but they actually don't have an enormous residential population. A lot of their population is visitor, actually gets, what's the word? They don't get as much as they produce. But we've never conducted that analysis. That would be interesting to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. As I said earlier, one of the promises, over 40 roadway, highway projects, nearly all of those have either been completed or in the process of being completed by the county. Now, as those finish, the county isn't using our funds to do more of them. They have other funding sources for that. We really want to direct what's remaining in the funds to transit because that's where we're furthest behind. Next. But we are investing significant dollars in something called advanced traffic management systems. This is a fancy term for smart signals. Our traffic signals in Miami-Dade County are antiquated. They're on an old-fashioned timer. and they don't adapt to real-time conditions. So the county is installing these smart signals throughout the county in order to make those intersections more efficient. They completed a phase 1 of this, which showed anywhere from a 10 to 20% time savings where those traffic signals were installed, which is a big deal. So be on the lookout. I'm sure your team is already working with the county on placing this throughout the city. Next. But as I said, really our focus is transit. If you compare ourselves to other peer cities throughout the country, let's face it, we're a bit behind. We have some catching up to do. And so that is what we're focused on. Now, we've done a lot already over these 20 years. We've completely replaced all the fleets. Metro Rail, Metro Bus, Metro Mover fleets have been replaced. And the Metro Bus fleets are even being replaced with eco-friendly technologies and vehicles such as CNG and increasingly electric. We did expand Metro Rail to the airport, which was a big deal. We have invested in parking rides throughout the county. And we even invested in a couple of stations for Brightline, but ultimately it was with the idea of encouraging commuter rail to service that same rail line, which we'll talk about in a bit. Next. The county has also upgraded and enhanced its bus fleet, something I'm sure, again, that you've gotten a lot of calls about because there were some winners and losers in this thing, but overall it was an enormous improvement to the bus system and has resulted in increased ridership. Next. As I said earlier, the expansion of the Metro Rail, that was the one expansion of rapid transit that the county was able to achieve in these 20 years. So this is, the area where I would say we're furthest behind, but next, we are working aggressively to catch up through something called the SMART Plan or SMART Program. And that is, if you see the map there, 6 corridors that essentially would extend rapid transit to practically every corner of the county. With the exception of the Northwest, right? So Miami Lakes and Hialeah are a little left out of the SMART Plan. I know there's this discussion about SMART Plan 2.0 to cover those areas that the current SMART Plan does not. Next. So the SMART Plan corridors, there are 6 of them: the South Corridor, the Beach Corridor, the East-West Corridor, Kendall Corridor, Northeast Corridor, and the North Corridor. Next. The good news is that one of these has been under construction for some time, again, launched under the leadership of then Transportation Committee Chair Bovo, and that was the South Corridor. And this is going to be gold standard bus rapid transit. It is a bus, but a bus that behaves very much like a train. It's got amazing stations, it's got level boarding, it's got prepaid fares, and it's going to have priority signalization through the intersection so that the bus doesn't have to stop at the intersections. And this has been under construction and is going to open this year, this summer, in fact, July or August. So that's a big deal. Kudos, Mayor Bovo. I know you had a large role in making that happen. Next.
Guess who won't be invited to the opening?
You're totally invited. Now, whether you want to fly down for it is another question. The Beach Corridor, you may know this as Baylink. This was a long-time planned connection between downtown and Miami Beach. That's currently proposed to be Metro Mover. And then also another extension from downtown to the design district. This is currently in the planning, design, and engineering phase. Next. The East-West Corridor would provide, at this point, potentially bus rapid transit, but also potentially some kind of commuter rail or even potentially Metro Mover, connecting the western part of the county to the east, largely along or parallel to 836. So originally it was going to be on the highway, and now they're looking at some other alternatives. Also still in the planning, design, and engineering phase. Next. The Kendall Corridor. So this was proposed to be bus rapid transit along Kendall Drive. This has kind of been set aside for now while FDOT studies a pilot project that they're conducting on Flagler Street. They're going to take the lessons learned there and apply it to this corridor. This is probably the furthest behind, to be honest. Next. The Northeast Corridor. So this is now the most promising after the South Corridor. So we all, I think, know about Brightline. Brightline runs along the FEC rail tracks, but Brightline is very expensive. It's not someone a worker is going to use every day. It also doesn't have stations between Aventura and downtown Miami. So the idea is to use those same tracks, but institute or I should say deploy a commuter rail service, something more like Tri-Rail on those same tracks with multiple stations throughout the county. And the great news is all the funding is there. We've committed our local funding, the state has committed funding. Even the federal government has committed $400 million in funding that still needs to be approved by Congress. So we're crossing our fingers.
Through the chair, I just want to know, we have a very famous person located on this snapshot here. The young gentleman there to the right-hand side
I
there.
think he's wearing the same shirt today.
You recognize that man, Mayor?
How are you there?
Is that him?
He was,
Yes.
he just got out of the gym at that moment.
Wow. Right. You want to give the rest of the presentation, you feel free to.
It was the same shirt he's wearing right now. That was
Did he-
today.
Did he Photoshop himself?
That's
in
great.
there?
We did that on purpose, knowing we'd be here today. So anyway, this is all the,
Working hours?
I love it. It goes to show that you're paying attention, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So we're very excited. Hopefully this will be the next corridor to come online. Next. Finally, the North Corridor. This has been a long promised extension of Metro Rail. So this is the one corridor that is slated currently to be a Metro Rail extension up 27th Avenue from the existing Metro Rail up to the Broward County line, serving, among other things, Joe Robbie Stadium, as I still call it, Miami-Dade College North. Now, unfortunately, because it's Metro Rail, it's by far the most expensive, and it is not currently fully funded. That's going to require heavy federal participation, and we don't have that commitment at this time. But FDOT continues their PD&E study so that when the funding becomes available, we're ready to take advantage of it. Next. We've also invested in multiple park and ride facilities throughout the county, including the Dolphin and Tamiami lots, et cetera. Next. Sorry, I know this is long. I'm almost done. All of this is really expensive. And the only way we're going to do it is by adding layers and layers and layers of funding. What we call a funding lasagna. Mostly I put this up just to make you hungry at this time of night. But, you know, federal, state, local funding isn't enough anymore. We need to be creative. One of the ways in which we were creative, and again, I have to give full credit to Mayor Bovo, is the county did institute a tax increment finance district along every corridor, both existing and proposed, to generate additional revenue that they then invest back into the transit system. So again, thank you, Mayor Bovo, for your leadership at the county. Next. These are just some other areas of focus for us. First, last mile solutions, enhancing county municipal connectivity, making sure everybody works better together and connects, improving the customer experience. Doesn't matter if you build it, if it's not well maintained, if it's not safe, it's not clean, people aren't going to use it. And finally, community engagement. I believe very strongly that people deserve to know what's happened with their taxpayer money. It's why I've been making the rounds at every city, and I'm happy to do this presentation before any community group. So if you know of a homeowners association, a chamber of commerce, anyone who would benefit from this, please let me know. Next. Along that vein, we did launch a CITT ambassador program. So we're asking people who ride the system on a regular basis, both the county system, but then also the municipal systems, to be our eyes and ears. And they can do that by applying to be an ambassador. In exchange, they get access to an app. They provide regular feedback on that app. We provide the content created by that feedback to the transit department and to the city so that they can address whatever issues these ambassadors identify. They get rewarded with points every time they provide feedback, and they can exchange those points for mobility rewards, free Uber rides, free Lyft, discounted transit passes, et cetera. So it's a great program. If you're a regular transit rider and are interested in this, please apply. Information is on our website. Next. And finally, also in an effort to inform and educate the public on everything that's happening, I launched a podcast a couple of years ago. We've had a number of elected officials, transportation agency heads, but then also just everyday transit riders and community leaders on the program to talk about transportation and issues that intersect with transportation, land use, economic development, housing. And that is broadcast live on Facebook every other Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30. So please stay tuned. And if you're interested in being on the podcast, please, I do invite you, Madam Chair, Mr. Mayor, any of you, just let me know and we'll schedule you. Next. That's all I have for you. My contact information is there. Please feel free to contact me with any additional questions or concerns. With that, happy to answer any questions now.
So if I might just make a brief comment. Probably the only good thing that the half penny did was create the CITT, because it does act as a watchdog on this item. The sad reality is that the half penny is just not enough money. It really isn't. You know, what they should have done, not to go into the whole history of it because it's convoluted and full of twists and turns, there was an overpromise, quite honestly. And in the county, before my time, did some financial jujitsu of mixing money that should have never been in what was the operation of the system. But they used a half penny, which was a fail to the promise that they made to the residents. And I know that you mentioned earlier Raul Martinez and the fact that he negotiated the portion that goes to the city. That was a blessing at first, but could be a detriment to the overall picture. Because what a lot of cities did was use that money to create circles in their communities and all that, and did nothing as far as mass transit is concerned. And that's where the problem has lied. We failed miserably, and I say we, all of us that occupy spaces on these elected positions, failed on the promise of moving masses in our community. So as Javi went through the presentation, you saw these are the same conversations that we're having 25 years ago about corridors that need to be done and what have you. And the only reason that the South Corridor moves faster than everybody else is because you had the dedicated right-of-way to do it. There are no other dedicated right-of-ways, and the cost of this stuff is extremely, extremely expensive. The one thing that the county, unfortunately, has never contemplated, and they probably will never contemplate, is public-private partnerships in order to get some of this done, which is what they do in other places of the world. Because as he mentioned, and I'll just leave you with this, but you could apply this to all the corridors. The North Corridor has robust potential. Miami-Dade College, it goes through Opelika, it could anchor itself at the stadium, a casino beyond that, right? It has robust abilities to create nucleuses of development and stations and what have you. But again, it really requires a lot of out-of-the-box thinking and not, sitting in the same mindset. The one thing I would leave for all of you to consider in the future, and it won't be done overnight, we are the second largest city in Miami-Dade County, and we don't have a people mover in the city of Miami, or in the city of Hialeah, okay? And we are blessed with multiple stations, Tri-Rail and Metro Rail stations. We've got 3 Metro Rail stations, 2 Tri-Rail stations. We're the second largest city in the county, and there may be connectivity if we so desire in the future to look at what we do with our half penny now, which is invest a lot in making our bus system free. We do a lot with the freebie. The numbers show people are using it. But what's the next generation of transportation in our city? Is that what it's going to be? And we need to think long-term, 10, 15, 20 years from now, what it's going to look like. And is a people mover part of that equation? And that does require education with our community, because statistics will show you that one of the biggest complaints that we have generally in all of Dade County, but let's talk specifically of Hialeah, is traffic. It's just getting from point A to point B takes time, right? And unless we're willing to be straight with people, talk to people, create some of the same mechanisms we did in the county of financing districts to create that lasagna that he's talking about. Although metiste cuatro frijoles, I have no idea what the frijoles were, but to create some sort of financial mechanism that could help us create connectivity within our city, so that people could get on a system that could take them maybe to Westland and connect them to a hospital or connect them to one of the systems. Anyways, this is going to require some, forward thinking on it. But, the half penny is just not enough. It isn't enough to fulfill that entire vision. And I know that we're talking about a smart plan 2. We haven't gotten past smart plan 1 yet. But anyways, we need to be ambitious in this space. Ultimately, the Achilles of Miami-Dade County, as far as becoming a world-class city in our county, is transportation. So the reason we don't get an Amazon headquarters here, because of transportation. We're always going to get looked at, and we're always going to have opportunities because of where we're geographically located. The weather here is great. We're a very cosmopolitan city, very international flavor. We're always going to be top 10 in everything, right? Good and bad things. We're going to be top 10. But this issue of transportation is what's going to continue to come back and haunt us over and over again. And hopefully, a city council, future city councils and future commissions could collaborate to figure out a way of getting this done the right way. But bueno, the CITT does its job of making sure that we're not misspending money. And I congratulate and thank you for the work that you guys do. It's thankless, I'm sure, but I thank you for your work you do, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else?
Nope.
Nope. That's it.
Okay. Well,
Thank you so much.
thank you again for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Que sigan progresando.
Thank you.
Okay, item B.
Mayor Bobo proclaims April 29th, 2025 as End Jewish Hate Day in Hialeah.
So I know we have a speaker that if you want to come up and address, and then I'll go ahead and formally make the presentation. And we'll need your name and address for the record, okay? Mira, right there at the mic, right there.
Should I go before you read the proclamation?
If you want to go first, it's okay.
You're the boss.
No, I'm not really the boss. Yeah, it's her meeting.
Whatever you
Go
say,
ahead.
Madam President.
You can go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Jennifer Ensline, and I'm honored to stand here today representing the End Jew Hatred Day organization to express our deepest gratitude to Mayor Bovo and the city of Hialeah for issuing a proclamation recognizing End Jew Hatred Day on April 29th. I have had the privilege of knowing and working with Mayor Bovo during my time in the Latin Task Force of American Jewish Committee for 18 years, and his team, as well as his wife Viviana, for years, and have always appreciated their support of all the issues and matters concerning the Jewish community. Today, I have the opportunity to say thank you one last time before Mayor Bovo steps down as mayor of Hialeah. What a special way to end his term by issuing this meaningful proclamation. But this is more than just a proclamation. It is a powerful statement that hatred has no place in our communities. By taking this stand, the city of Hialeah sets an example for cities across America to follow. Now more than ever in these challenging times, we must come together in the spirit of bipartisanship to confront and eradicate Jew hatred. This is not a political issue. It is a moral obligation. Recognizing and fighting Jew hatred is essential in preserving the values of justice, equality, and freedom that define our great nation. Today, the city of Hialeah, also known as the City of Progress, sends a clear message: Jewish civil rights matter, and our communities must be safe for all. On that note, I'd like to thank you for having the Israeli flag outside next to the US flag. It's the first city of the 15 cities that I'm visiting that has that. Much appreciated. Other cities are inspired by this leadership and have joined in recognizing End Jew Hatred Day every year on April 29th, including the Miami-Dade School District Board. Tomorrow night is the eve of Yom HaShoah, the Jewish Memorial Day for the Holocaust. Many Jews will take this day to grieve, light a candle for, and remember all of the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust, as well as to honor the survivors. It is a time to reflect and to try to understand and honor the promise of never forget. We honor their memory by reaffirming our commitment to never again. The word Shoah, which in Hebrew means catastrophe or utter destruction, refers to the atrocities that were committed against the Jewish people during World War II. Sadly, 80 years later, we're here living those times again and experiencing anti-Semitic atrocities. Since October 7th, 2023, Israel faces continued multi-front threats from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Judea and Samaria, and Iran. As we celebrated Passover and Easter, both spring celebrations, let's not forget the 59 hostages who still remain in Gaza, including American Eden Alexander. We cannot celebrate freedom while these hostages are still held in tunnels in captivity in Gaza. Bring them home now. As we're reminded of the Jewish people's strength throughout history, let's lift our spirits, renew hope, and remind ourselves why we celebrate freedom. Let's bring light in these dark times. Mayor Bovo, Madam President, thank you. Mayor Bovo, best of luck to you in your new professional venture in DC. Thank you for standing on the right side of history. Let's continue this fight together and Jew hatred. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, I know we're all getting an Amber Alert. Okay. So we've witnessed over the course of the last year, maybe year and a half, a rise in anti-Semitism across campuses all over the United States. The savagery of this uprising has also been seen in other parts of the world, in Europe, and it's a stark reminder that anti-Semitism is alive and well, and sometimes goes into hibernation. On October 7th, as was stated, Israel was savagely attacked. Israel, which this council has approved in the past, a resolution, we recognize their right to defend themselves, has defended himself. And that has been taken by the left, an extreme agenda that has, the same agenda that maybe bought into Black Lives Matter, the same agenda that buys into making, teaching our kids to be girls and boys to be girls. I don't know, the whole craziness has taken the cause of the Palestinians in a way that continues to promote the extermination of the Jewish faith, and there's no other way of putting it. And this thing has become a standard now for the left all over the country. And what has opened our eyes, and I applaud the State Department, for folks that come to this country on student visas and are now basically supporting a terrorist organization across our campuses. And thankfully, we have a president and a State Department that's not putting up with it, and they're starting to kick people out of this country that shouldn't be in this country to begin with. All this is tied into this ball of wax of hatred. Israel has the right to defend itself. The Jewish people have the right to defend themselves, and I've said this before, and I hope I hammer this clearly. The United States supports one democracy in the Middle East, and it's Israel.
Amen.
And Israel is the only country that stands next to the United States when the issue of the Cuban embargo comes up before the United Nations. Let that sink in for a second. Only one country. It's not Canada. It's not Mexico. It's not any other country, but Israel, that votes consistently with the United States on the issue of the trade embargo with Cuba. And if anything, okay, a part of everything I've already said about anti-Semitism and the ugliness and all that, if anything else, okay, there's a reason why we need to stand with Israel at all costs, because they stand with us for the want and hope of seeing a free Cuba. So this proclamation is a token of our respect for the Jewish people, and the fact that the city of Hialeah, will stand against hatred, against bigotry, in any shape or form that it takes. Okay?
Amen.
So if the council will join me really quick, we'll go ahead and present this, and you'll take this proclamation.
If I could just add, today the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, issued a report. The rise of anti-Semitism over the past 2 years has risen 900%.
Okay, moving on to announcements of amendments, corrections to the agenda.
Zoning item 16G is postponed until the city council meeting of May 13th, 2025 at 5:30 PM per the applicant's request.
Okay, board appointments.
Proposed resolution appointing Alejandra Cortina as a member of the Beautification Committee beginning on April 22nd, 2025 for a 2-year term ending on April 22nd, 2027.
Through the chair.
I recognize.
Yeah. Thank you. We have today a really good friend of the city, Hialeah, Alejandra Cortina. Alejandra, she is a longtime resident for the city, Hialeah, and her and her husband are actually very, very involved in St. John's the Apostle, which is where I had the pleasure of meeting them. And again, Alejandra, young professional, beautiful family, takes care of probably the most vulnerable population in the state of Florida. So thank you for doing that, and we welcome you here. And if you want to say a few words.
Press the button.
Alejandra Cortina, 1750 West 46th Street, Casa del Sol, right across the street from Westland Mall. It's such an honor for me to be here. My family came to this country straight to Hialeah when I was 10 years old. They sold everything and they opened a cafeteria on 29th Street and 10th Avenue. Right now it's called El Tamalito Cubano, which I visit a lot. I love it. I went to Ben Shepherd, Filer, Hialeah High School, and for the last 20 years, I've been working in social services, working with the elderly community here in Hialeah, making sure that they have services at home, the La Cantina, the HHA, so that they're able to live the programs that the city are offering the elderly are amazing, but I have the honor of working with the ones that are homebound, the ones that cannot go out into the programs, El Comedor and things like that. So just any way that I can serve, any way that I can be involved, it's an absolute honor for me. So thank you so much. You don't know what this means to me.
Thank you, Alejandra. Motion.
Motion by Tundidor,
Second.
second by, who was it? Zogby? Okay, Zogby.
Me? Am I tied for second?
Oído, yeah.
Mr. Tundidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yeah.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda. I would like to pull item K. And I don't know if anyone else would like to pull an item. Otherwise, pleasure of the board.
Good. Motion.
Motion by Rodriguez, second by Zogby.
Mr. Zogby,
Yeah.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except item K.
Okay, item K.
Proposed resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Hialeah affirming its support for the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners passing of resolution number R37025 on April 1st, 2025, directing the Miami-Dade County Water and Sewer Department to discontinue adding fluoride to the county's water supply as expeditiously as possible, but not later than 30 days, and hereby authorizing the mayor or his designee to advocate on behalf of the city and its residents for the removal of fluoride from the Miami-Dade County's drinking water and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have Commissioner Gonzalez here with us. So this is basically just saying that we're with them, we're with the commission because the county wants to, well, the commissioners want to do this. They want to remove the fluoride that we do not need to have in our water because we have enough toothpaste and enough things we can use for our teeth. We don't got to be drinking it. But I believe it was passed and then vetoed, right? Press the button.
Yes, Madam President.
Okay, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. And it's quite an honor to be here in Hialeah. You know, first, if it's okay with you, Madam President, I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Bogle for his bold leadership and, you know, for always being willing to tackle tough issues for his residents and for Miami-Dade County. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that, sir, you will be missed. You are the epitome of a public servant, and you are one of the reasons why somebody like me got into this in the first place. So I admire you a lot. I've told you in private, but I'll tell you in public, sir.
Thank
Mayor Bovo, Council President Garcia Robes, Council, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. My name is Roberto J. Gonzalez. I am a Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 11 here in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for this opportunity to address you as you take up the important issue, or you have taken up the important issue of the mandate for water fluoridation. We all know that Hialeah is a proud city that, like its residents, is rich in what is most important, the good intentions of hardworking people. The city of progress is where people earn the American dream with grit and determination. And you speak with loud voices, and Miami-Dade County, I assure you, hears you. Hialeah is also a city where your residents understand very well the importance of personal freedom and liberty against government intervention and tyranny. This is especially true when it comes to making personal decisions about our health and what goes into our bodies. This past April 1st, as Madam President alluded to, we based our vote on a changing science and growing public health. I presented a resolution to end water fluoridation for the county's 3 million residents. It passed 8-2 by a wide bipartisan majority. I was prompted to offer this resolution based on a recent decision by a federal court judge mandating the EPA to review how much fluoride is being put into our water. I think it's important to note that the first time that fluoride was added into our water was in 1958. Now, at that point in time, we were adding 2.4 ppm to our water. I think it's important to also note that because of a federal lawsuit and many health concerns, in 1975, we went down from 2.4 to 1.2. I think it's even more important to note that just a few years later, in 2015, because of another lawsuit and unreasonable risk to residents, we had to lower as a country from 1.2 to 0.7. So science has been telling us for many years, this is safe, but then it's not. That is safe, but then it's not. And that's what prompted this 7-year litigation, which last year in 2024, it was prompted that it was in response to growing concerns about its long-term safety, particularly the potential detrimental effects of neurotoxicity on the brain for pregnant women, infant children, and every person who ingests. The resolution is about giving our residents the right to choose, especially in an era where personal health decisions should be guided by individual responsibility and preference. Fluoride is widely available in other forms like toothpaste and dental treatments, but we must stop forced mass medication through the drinking water supply. Now, in 1958, when it was first added to water, fluoride did not exist in toothpaste. It did not exist in mouthwash. And so now we look at the amount of fluoride that we're consuming, and this is where the issues of neurotoxicity are relevant. I invite each and every one of you, when you go home and you brush your teeth tonight, I want you to look at the back of that toothpaste bottle, and you'll see that it says, do not swallow, do not ingest. Now, the risks in swallowing fluoride are real, and research shows that topical fluoride applications are what provide dental health benefits. So, as a matter of fact, the director of the CDC during this 7-year lawsuit is quoted in saying that the benefits of fluoride are in topical pair, putting it on your teeth and spitting it out, not in swallowing. In spite of all of this, Our resolution was blocked by the county's mayor's veto, effectively taking away our ability to decide what's best for ourselves and for our families. But I know that the people of Hialeah will be heard, and you will speak loudly on personal freedom, because that's what Hialeah represents. Let your message for freedom be strong, and I urge you to support this measure. I thank you for supporting this measure, and I assure you that I will not stop fighting, as you never stop fighting for your residents. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. Pleasure of the board.
Just through the chair,
Recognized.
Commissioner, thank you for being here today. You always dress up real nice and sharp, brother. Appreciate that. But I want to thank you for not just this item in particular, but also the courage to stand up for something that you believe in, and I respect that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman.
I motion.
Second.
Motion by Tundidor, second by Rodriguez.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Outstanding. And Commissioner, good luck. I know that you guys have a meeting, I guess it's the 6th.
May 6th, yes, sir.
Well, we'll be hoping and praying that you have the votes necessary to override the veto. I think it's the right thing that you're doing. And thank you for championing this thing and opening our eyes here in the city of Hialeah also to this issue.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for your bravery. I know that your residents are watching, and your residents are very happy that you're fighting for their freedom. God bless you, and I am confident that God will win in the end.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, administrative item A.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending chapter 46 entitled Historical Preservation, Article 2 entitled Historic Preservation Board of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, and in particular by amending Code Section 46-40 subsection A13 entitled Powers and Duties to remove not allowing elected officials' relatives during the lifetime of the elected official, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for an inclusion in code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. Pleasure of the board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Zogby, second by Tundidor.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega, Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Junco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 13th, 2025.
Okay, 11B.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 98, entitled Zoning, Article 5, Zoning District Regulations, Division 33, Neighborhood Business District, and creating a new Division 36 entitled Neighborhood Business District, Mixed Affordable Housing, creating incentives for mixed affordable housing units, and providing for purpose, providing for definitions, requirements, and specific incentives, providing for an affordable housing trust fund to be collected and administered by the city's Housing and Community Services Department, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, council. This is a product of many months of work that we've been putting together, starting with when this council approved the task force specific to affordable housing, that we were able to include industry experts to be able to provide ideas and opinions on the best way to move forward with affordable housing. We know that, again, the state legislature has passed a law known as Live Local. Live Local, although very well intentioned, it shouldn't be a one size fits all, right? And what's good for Coral Gables isn't necessarily good for Hialeah. So this ordinance is an attempt to be able to narrow that scope and really hone into the specific needs of the residents of Hialeah. And so I'll give you an example. One of the quote unquote benefits that Live Local states is that developers have to provide rents at 120% AMI. And so what 120% of AMI turns out to be in Hialeah is actually market rent. So if we have a live local project in Hialeah, that project is going to receive the tax benefits, but it's not going to do much benefit for our public. And so again, this ordinance is an effort in trying to being able to address some of these needs. We understand that it's not going to be an all right solution, but I think it's a great first step forward. At this moment, we're looking at the zoning. Back in March, we approved the land use. And just at a high level, I know we have Claudia here who's going to be able to also assist in addressing any questions. But at this moment, we have our highest zoning densities, NBD, which is 70 units per acre, and we have our TOD, which is at 125 units per acre. Our TOD zoning is limited to a radius surrounding mass transit. Our MBD is what we've seen mostly throughout the city of Hialeah. Now, what we wanted to do was find the sweet spot in between the 70 and 125 units per acre. And so we looked at 100 units per acre. So what this ordinance does, in essence, is that it provides additional density from 70 units to 100 units per acre. And it requires that 15% of those total units be rented at affordable rates. Now, what does affordable mean? How do we define it? We define it as 60% AMI versus 120% AMI. And so what that looks like is for a 1-1 in Hialeah for someone at a 60% AMI, turns out to be roughly $1,300 a month, which is the need here in our community. Now, in addition to the increased density, which is the incentive for the private sector, we also offer parking exemptions only specific to the affordable units, right? So I'll give you an example. For a 1-1, the parking requirement is 1 parking spot. You only see that with our TOD zoning. However, where that parking incentive or exemption doesn't make all the units eligible, just those units that are considered affordable. We then at the same time created a housing trust fund. So the way that fund works is a payment in lieu of. So in other words, if a developer says, we can't afford to have these 15 units or this 15% of units at 60% AMI rents, well, then they can pay a one-time fee into the housing fund. And I believe that fee is $30,000. And so once the developer pays that one-time fee into the fund, then all of their rents, all of their units could be at market rent. And so they don't have to abide by the affordable rates. Now, that housing fund is going to create a local rental assistance program. And so we've seen those in the past, but they come from federal grants, federal money, which comes with strings attached. And so when we use local dollars, we are a little more flexible on the criteria and how we use those funds. And so this program, the fund, will all be ran by Daniela's department, which is the community services, housing, couple names on there. So that's the department that's going to be overseeing that item. Again, this isn't meant to combat Live Local. This is made to make it better, right? And to narrow the scope. We have obviously certain requirements that developers are going to have to abide by. Live Local says that their beneficial rents are supposed to be maintained for 30 years. We say 20 years. And folks that want to participate as part of the rental assistance program in this housing fund, they're going to be able to do so if they meet certain criteria. They can't make more than 100% of the AMI. And this program is capped at 3 years for their life. So in other words, a person could utilize this program if they qualify for up to 3 years, but they have to reapply every single year. Again, we don't want to make a permanent program, right? This isn't a long-term type of program. We want to act as a safety net and be able to help them get back on their feet. So I hope my colleagues could support this item. And if anyone has any questions, we also have Claudia here to address.
If I may, through the chair, you're recognized.
Thank you for your effort in putting this together. I know that it's taken a long time and you've really done your homework in, diving into the community of those that, are developers, and also you've interrogated a lot of residents and I've tried to meet a sweet spot and solve this issue that we all were so apprehensive with. So I appreciate you taking the time and the effort. I know that, you guys met here plenty of times, so I appreciate that. I have a question though. You mentioned that there is an account that the developers have to pay into for 30,000. Can you walk me through that? How did you come up with that 30,000? And what is the building or the amount of units for that market price of 30,000?
10%, 15%.
Interim planning official Claudia Hasman. So to your question, the $30,000, it was a point that it was discussed with the first task and also with some other experts in the field. And that amount basically is to create that pool of money that it will assist those residents in need. Those $30,000 is just an option. If you include, if you're a developer and you include those affordable units within your project, you don't have to pay the $30,000. That is an option to the project. So that is not a requirement per se. And I also want to clarify this program is an incentive for you as a developer that you can choose to increase those densities by providing affordability. It's not a requirement. So we wanted to make it more of a sweet spot, as you mentioned, between Live Local Act and other projects, but it's an incentive. The regulations are requirements, but you don't have to go to that.
So if they don't buy into the program, then they have to pay a fee.
If they don't want the density
Okay.
increase, they don't have to pay. They still can develop a project up to 70 dwelling units per acre, which is the regulations that we refer to NBD. Okay, so they don't have to go. But if they want to get more density, they either provide the units within the project or they pay the trust fund.
I love that trust fund idea. I think that's a fantastic, way of turn of events that we could then benefit from, these fees. So, but the 30,000 is where I'm capped at. So it doesn't, how did we arrive at that particular number? Can we increase it? Is it going to be less if they meet? I mean, is there like a window, or is it 30,000 if you don't meet it?
For now, it's 30,000, but also remember that this is going to be, this policy is going to be in place for 5 years. That is what we included. So we can evaluate it within those 5 units and say, are we successful? Are we meeting our targets? Are we actually meeting, the intent of the law? And then we can actually target into that. That number was changed several times. We figured it out that was a number that basically it could incentivize people to participate into that. So it's not that high, but it's not that low also.
Through the chair, if I may, yeah, and I also recall that math was done by dividing the cost of the land, right, and then per door. We had a very high number initially, and then once we brought it to the task force, Julio Ponce also was part of the task force as well. We got feedback, and that number was very high. And I'll give you an example. Miami-Dade County also has a similar program, but their cost per door for the payment in lieu of is actually like 14,000. So we didn't want to go that low either, and so we figured that 30,000, based off of the feedback that we were getting from the group, was the best way to go. Now, just how Claudia mentioned, this is a 5-year program, right? So in 5 years it sunsets. However, before it sunsets, we do a review, and we would determine whether or not, right, this program has actually been effective. Maybe the utilization isn't there. Maybe there's too much utilization, right? And so that's why we wanted to have that flexibility to determine in 5 years, do we move forward with it or not?
Thank you. And then the trust is managed by the city? It goes into like a building fund, or is it a separate account altogether?
It's a separate account, and that's why we asked the assistant to our department, and we worked with her, and it's going to be a separate account, just as a trust fund, as other trust funds that you have already in place. So that it's going to be managed separately, and it's going to be
So the councilman made a mention that those funds then would be used to create housing similar to how, so what would we do with?
If I
what
may,
would be
through
then
the chair, it provides that for the trust funds, the city resident has to be rent burdened, which means that they spend in excess of 30% of annual household income. So what is done with the trust fund is rental assistance, rental subsidy, if you will, in a similar manner to the way that Daniela Tamayo's department currently administers certain federal and state funds for rent burden residents of the city of Hialeah. It's to be used for that purpose. And that's what the trust fund account would be for. And I would just add that the payment in lieu concept is relatively, I mean, it's this is not unique. Many jurisdictions have, you want to increase density, provide this affordable housing, or you pay. Think of the tree trust fund. When you remove a tree, you either, you plant these trees or you pay into a tree. It's the same kind of concept.
Got it.
Oh.
Okay. All right. No, I think that's great. Thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you. I'm done.
So,
Anybody else?
Through the chair.
You recognize.
Councilman, thank you for taking the lead on this. I mean, this is a win-win because you're gonna have more units out there, affordable. When you have more apartments, you have more affordability. So I see this as a win for everything and actually bringing in these developers here and actually getting something. So thank you very much for taking the lead on that.
Motion.
Sorry.
I motion.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Perez, second by Rodriguez.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 13th, 2025.
Okay, so we're moving on to unfinished and new business, and I have something to say, so you're not leaving. Oh, before you go, I just wanted to personally thank you for the 27 years that you've done a public service, but also for the work that you've done here in the city of Hialeah. Don't get emotional. You know that I told you since you started, the amazing job that you were doing, that everyone loved you. And I'm pretty sure I speak for all of us to say that we're gonna miss you. And I have a little something to give you as a token of appreciation for you to know that the doors are always open until I change the locks on Monday.
Thank you so much.
Did we take a picture?
Through the chair. Through the chair. Mayor Bobo, I wanted to thank you for your service to, you have helped so many lives and you've guided so many of us. Although this is goodbye, it is not farewell. I do think this is a new road for you, but I think it's going to be great. But I will say that your legacy here will continue for a long, long time. You have really impacted so many people, and I am so happy to have served under your leadership. So thank you so much. And I will miss you.
If
Through the
I
chair.
may, through the chair.
Hi, yo, Mayor.
You gotta give it, you gotta give us a
Ladies
second.
first. So Mayor, I just want to reflect on the title of public servant because you have served for many years in this community. You are very well respected. No matter who comes up here and screams at you every now and again, you are very loved, you're very respected. You're a man that is decent. You have a way with your words that is a smooth way of giving your point across that is effortless, that it really is something to look up to. You are someone that you calm the waters and you make people feel at ease, even in moments that are difficult, that we walk in there maybe, with pulling out our hair. You're like, it's gonna be okay, we'll figure it out. You have a way of just calming the sea. You also, if this doesn't work out for you, you're great with kids. Because I've seen you every career day, every take your child to work day. Children love you. And you know what? I think that children are such a great judge of character. And, kids gravitate to people that are good. And that says a lot about you. Okay. I know that this decision, when we first heard it, like many residents, because we are residents, we were a little bit upset and angry.
Emotions.
And I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm a very honest person. I say things whether people like it or not. We were hurt, we were angry. I barged into your office concerned and worried with this decision. But you're a father first, you're a husband first. And we have to respect the decision you make for you and your family. And none of us can question that. So I admire you for putting your family first and for making that decision. And after speaking to you, I'm not as angry anymore. I wish you the best. And I'll never forget when I first was running, I ran into you at Hialeah Park. And you came up to me and said, why didn't you come to talk to me before you wanted to run? I would have guided you, I would have helped you. So I'm going to remember that. I'm still going to come to you in the future. And I wish you and your family, Viviana, your children, all the best. God bless you and God bless your journey.
So through the chair. So through the chair, Mayor, whatever, exactly what they said, but I want to say something that not everybody sees. Countless of residents have knocked on our door, and every single time, the mayor was always there. I'll pick up the phone. Yes, his staff always thinking of the residents first. Not everybody, they're not going to put it in the Herald, they're not going to do it, but I can tell you hundreds of times in the past 3 years, and that represents your heart. Thank you. If you always looking for the residents, always thinking of them. So thank you. I know nobody sees that, Mayor, but everybody else that that came from the heart. So thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you.
Through the chair. Oh, stop. Oh. What? Turn your microphone. Yeah. Ditto, what Junto said. We had a good run. I enjoyed the heck out of it, Mayor. I wish you the best of luck and Godspeed to you and your family, sir. Thank you.
Through the chair.
You're recognized.
Um, I'm a big believer with a book that the mayor had recommended I read. And I think Mayor, help me out here. I think the book was called The 7 People You Meet in Heaven. What was it? Was it maybe 4, 5? Well, the premise of the book is, just simply put, It's that every person that you meet in your life, there's a significant reason why they were put in your life in the first place. And it could be as simple as a stranger holding the door for you, or someone that you work with. And so, Mayor, I don't want to sound cliche, but I think you're one of those people in my life. And there's people that you meet in your life, and sometimes, the reason as to why you met them maybe it isn't clear, but I'm a big believer that everyone that you meet, and in this case with you, Mayor, it's allowed me to grow, right? And I like to say that my political career was started with Rene Garcia, shepherded by David Custon, but matured with Mayor Bovo. And I really do mean that, Mayor. And every time we've spoken, we sit back and we talk policy, or we get into the weeds of things. But I think the most comforting times for me was when we spoke about family. And I think you got a couple kids. I'm trying to catch up to you. Not really, but your guidance, not just in politics, but personally, has meant a lot to me. And so I have no doubt that you bring value wherever God takes you, and I wish you the best. All right.
So I don't want to get emotional. But in a reflection, for 13 of the 26 years or 27 years that I've been serving, I've been coming into this chamber, has been part of that service. And in a weird kind of way, nothing compared to what we do here in other places that I've served. In the State House, you felt so removed from everybody and the decisions that you made. And in the County Commission, it was also so far removed. Here, it's always been very intimate, the conversations, the accusations, the anger and all that. And in a weird, macabre kind of way, that was always the thrill, the fun. The more tension in this building, the funner the meetings were. And I don't know, it's kind of like a weird kind of thing. I do want you to know that coming to the decision that I made was not easy, was not planned, and it was nothing orchestrated other than God moving things. I don't think I come to that decision if I didn't feel with pure confidence that this council, Jackie in the role that she's going to be playing now, and what else is to come, that all of you not only cannot handle it, but make it even better. And as a resident, my trust in all of you to move our city forward and make right decisions gives me that confidence to be able to now step back and say, okay, now I got to do something else in my life, right? And I know that there'll be things I miss, which is really just the human interaction, right? The building, the title, all that is nonsense. It's the human interaction. So whether it's a conversation, serving people in our community, I said something today, that the two most fulfilling moments of my life in public service were on the heels of catastrophe. Was in 2003 when a hurricane came through, maybe 2005, I forget now. And at that time, Julio Robaina, who was running for mayor, myself, Eddie Gonzalez, Rene Garcia, we spent 2 weeks just serving people in our community, taking ice, taking food and all that. And it was the embodiment. This is why I came to serve. This is what I like to do. And the second, again, very macabre kind of thing was during the pandemic, being able to get food for folks, vaccinations, masks, tests. It was what we all serve, not the union negotiations and not about an ordinance and all that. That's why you serve. That's why you got out into the trenches and you wanted to meet with people. Nothing will probably compare to the ability to campaign and going door to door with Zogby And literally, when somebody's saying, do something good, and he would say, well, it can't get any worse, and it was like, and it was fun. It was fun to campaign and go out there. And they still voted for us. Yeah, we were honest. So, I'm ready to now move into a different role in my life, responsibility. But I do it, with a lot of pride in the work that all of you are doing and will continue to do, and be your biggest cheerleader. Your biggest fan, because I know you care about the city. And the last thing I want to say is, nothing that's been done is accomplished without the people that stand behind me. It's amazing when you give people the carte blanche, the green light to fulfill their potential. And they have just swept me up in their enthusiasm and their dedication. I get the pats on the back, great job, see me at the market, and I do nothing. I don't pick up garbage. I don't turn on the lights at a park program. I don't, greet somebody when they need help. I don't show up at somebody's house when they need to get their blood pressure checked or when they're in distress. Not the cop that shows up. It's men and women in this city that do that job every single day, every day. And it's because of them that we get the pats on the back. They deserve a lot of thanks. They deserve a lot of respect. And when I came to the city, I hated the fact that the city employee, it doesn't matter what realm they held, was a punching bag of the city. That ain't right. If we want to give world-class service to our residents, then we need to invest in people and continue to invest in people. And if we do that, they're going to make us all look good at the end of the day because they do it with pride and enthusiasm. So I got a couple of days left. We still got some work to do. But I'm humbled. I'm very surprised. I didn't know. I know the gimmick about changing the lock. I know that. I know that. But again, I'm going to continue to pray for the city. I'm going to continue to live in the city. I'm not moving to Washington, D.C. I don't plan on going anywhere. I got my son here, obviously. My daughter's here. My home is here. My heart is here. But I do need to do things now for my family that I did not envision. But I will pray for each and every one of you, for the residents of the city, because the American dream is alive and well here in the city of Hialeah. And when you need somebody to help go door to door in a campaign, I'll be more than happy to do it because I trust each and every one of you, okay? God bless you all. Thank you. It's been an honor.
You realize he took the key, right?
Okay, moving on to zoning.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand?
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, if so say I do.
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
Okay, land use amendments, there's none. Moving on to zoning items, item A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow an elementary school, including kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, within a 950 square foot bay with a maximum of 25 students and 3 teachers, in conjunction with the existing daycare accommodating 28 children and 4 teachers within a contiguous 1,900 square foot bay. Property located at 6815 through 6895 West 4th Avenue, bays 6879, 6873, and 6887, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's on second reading, so it's open for the public. Is there anyone? Pleasure of the board.
Motion to also.
Motion by Rodriguez, second by Zogby.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, item B.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning properties from CR Commercial Residential District to R3D Multiple Family District, granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through third grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 28 students, in conjunction with a 42 children daycare, granting a variance permit to allow 11 parking spaces where 15 parking spaces are required, and to allow 21% pervious area where 30% area is required, in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 1, and section 98-1026, subsection 5. Property located at 106 West 9th Street, Hialeah, Zone CR, Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is also on second reading. It's open for public discussion. Is
I
there-
motion.
Motion by Zogby. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Rodriguez.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes? Ms. De La Vega? Ms. Perez? Motion carries. The item is approved. Item C, first reading of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to the City of Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow the expansion of an existing K through 12 grade school allowed by ordinance number 2015-60 that limited the number of students to 400, proposing now the addition of a 3-story, 30,852 square foot building with new uses including a 45 children daycare, fitness center, adult training and behavioral therapy for adults, families, and/or individuals with autism. Property located at 3751 West 108th Street, Hialeah, zoned BDH, Business Development District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Items, first reading. Pleasure of the board.
Is someone here to represent this item?
This is first reading.
Through the chair, this is the autism school.
Unfortunately, I don't see the applicant here, but this is the first reading is for the autism school in the annex area. This is just an expansion to the existing operation. And we had the presentation of public planning and zoning. So There are some conditions that they accepted during that meeting. It's regarding mainly in traffic, and they accepted all the conditions for that item. And the expansion, it was a great addition to the school. The expansion is not to the students, it's for amenities to the school per se.
Okay, this item is on first reading, so it's not open to the public. What's the pleasure of the board?
I motion.
Motion by Zogby, second by Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Junco,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 13th, 2025.
Okay, item D.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay in relation to a proposed development including 7 residential units pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161, granting a variance permit to allow 7 units with a total area of less than 700 square feet, where 700 square feet is the minimum required and only 25% of the residential units may have a minimum area of 500 square feet. Allow residential use only where mixed use is required. Allow residential units on the ground floor where residential units are allowed above ground floor level. Allow east side setback of 5 feet where 15 feet are required. Allow 12.87% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. And a variance to allow partial waiver of minimum landscape requirements through landscape mitigation as per Section 98-2235, all in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-1630.2, 98-1628, 98-1630.3, subsection E2, and in contrast to the Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, Section E, entitled Tree and Lawn Requirements by Zoning Classification. Property located at 65 West 7th Street, Hialeah, zoned R3D, multifamily district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's on first reading. It's not open for the public. Good evening, Caesar. How are you?
Good evening, Cesar Mestre with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. This is kind of a different one in that this exact project, same units, same floors, same parking, same setbacks, same variances, was approved back in 2023. But part of that approval was that the owner had to submit building plans within a specific time period. They didn't do that. So in 2024, the exact project was revoked. So here we are with the same exact project, again, asking for a reapproval so that they can continue with that. But I'll be glad to go into a small presentation. I'll show you the property. Next slide. It's a vacant lot on 7th Street between Palm and West First Avenue. As you can see, the building right to the right is a 2-story multifamily building, has 16 units. Next slide just shows you the land use. It's part of the Central Business District, and it has an R3 zoning. Next slide, I'll show you the buildings that are on the block. These were built back in the 1960s. They have parking between the building and the street. There's a problem with tandem parking. I'll show you our building, but the building that we're proposing has the parking in the back, has 7 units, has 8 parking spaces. So you can see these are the same units located same side of the street, multifamily units. These buildings that you see there have 8 units, 8 units, 8 units. Next slide. Going down further down the block, multifamily units again, until we get to the corner, which is the next slide. Next one. You have commercial on the corner of 7 and Palm Avenue, the parking lot across the street, as we know. Next slide is the 4-story building on the corner, almost a block away from here. You have 4 units, 36 units across the street from us. So basically what I'm telling you is that this is an improvement for the area. The parking is better. We agree with the conditions set forth by the planner's recommendation of approval. You have a recommendation of approval from planning and zoning. And as I said before, it's a project that is exactly the same as the one that was approved. We're asking for a reapproval at this point. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
On the motion.
Through the chair.
You recognize.
Hi, Caesar. So I know the buildings to the right are all two-story buildings. This one is a three-story.
This one's 3.
But the residents to the left, right, are single-family homes.
There's a multifamily to the west side, which is the one right next to it, is 5 units. And directly across the street is 5 units also. There may be some single-family homes further the next block to the west, but there's no single-family homes on this street.
Okay. Okay, I was just looking here through the paperwork and I think that was my only concern. So at planning and zoning, did we have residents, anybody express concerns? Anybody on the surrounding areas?
Nobody showed up at planning and zoning, and the notifications went out. The property was posted, and I posted it myself.
Okay.
So they've had the opportunity to come.
Okay. And we do this, right, on all, right? We send out letters to all the residents in the surrounding areas. If they don't feel comfortable with the project, they would be showing up to our planning and zoning or here to a council
That's
meeting,
right.
correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so I have a motion by Rodriguez. Do I have a
Second.
Second by Tumidor.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby? Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
You didn't hear me the
I
first
heard
time?
you, but I wasn't on the record when I said it because my mic was
okay.
off. Sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Junco?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 13th, 2025.
Okay, item E.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow a pharmaceutical research center conducting clinical trials to test new drugs, devices, and other forms of treatment to operate in conjunction with an existing medical office pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161, property located at 3412 West 84th Street, Suite 102, Hialeah, zoned C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described in Exhibit A. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for the public.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I recognize.
So is this, it says in conjunction with an existing medical office. So is this already in
So
place?
the,
What-
the medical office is existing, and what they're doing in one of the units that they have, they want the use of a medical research. So we have that category, that use category, through that process. Because, for example, this cannot be run as a clinic. They have to see their patients as a regular office, but it's a research. So they're going to be providing medical treatment that they're in tests.
and we don't have any representation here today?
No, either. So it's up to you if you
Yeah.
want to table this one. I mean, the applicant.
Opposed to things like this, but I feel like, if something's coming through council, I think we should have representation.
Definitely.
Right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is their opportunity to explain things to us. Again, I know we've proved some other things, but I just really feel like we should have representation
Definitely.
when things
Okay.
come up
Definitely.
through.
Yes.
You got a motion to table?
What?
Motion to table?
Until the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I second.
So we have a motion to table until the next meeting by Rodriguez and a second by Zombie.
Mr. Junco? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is postponed until the city council meeting of May 13th, 2025.
Okay, moving on to item F.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the partial retrofit of the second floor of an existing shopping center into a mixed-use development project with a maximum of 33 live-work loft units in conjunction with the existing shopping center pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161. Granting a variance permit to allow residential use within the C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District zoning district and a variance to allow 445 parking spaces where 599 parking spaces are required. All in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1112 and 98-2189, subsection 7, property located at 2750 West 68th Street, Hialeah, zoned C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's on first reading. It's not open for the public. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council, city attorney. For the record, my name is Bill Riley with offices located at 16343 Southwest 256th Street. It's a pleasure to appear before you this evening on behalf of this item. We were able to earn the recommendation of your professional staff, as well as unanimous recommendation of your planning and zoning board about 2 weeks ago. This is a really innovative project where we have a existing building, about 178,000 square feet, 2-story shopping center. It was built in about 1988. And the first floor of the shopping center is doing well. It's anchored by Fresco y Mas and other tenants. Unfortunately, the online era of retail has really taken a strain on boutique, family-owned retail businesses, especially when those businesses don't have the traffic that demand people walking up to a second story. They don't have the street front visibility. And it takes an effort, an extra layer of effort to reach their facility. They just don't generate the traffic. And sadly, the entire second floor of the shopping center is now vacant. Each and every one of those retail businesses have gone out of business, unfortunately. So we sat down and we tried to think of something that would be innovative in order to repurpose the building. And we came up with a loft type of idea for a residential mixed-use product. So the ground floor would remain as is, not changed at all. From the exterior, with exception to some facade enhancements, it would remain unaltered. But the entire second floor would become residential. And those residential units would be large units. And we provide a presentation. I'd ask if we could flip through the slide. That shows you the survey of the property. It's about eight acres in total. It's a large site. If you go to the next slide, please. This shows you the existing site plan for the property, including the landscaped islands that are associated with the buildings and the on-site parking layout. Next slide, please. This is the facade enhancement. Most of you, or if not all of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Lago Plaza. Lago Plaza sits at the intersection of West 28th Avenue and West 68th Street. It's 2 main arterial roadways that include about 6 lanes of traffic each way. Next slide, please. This one shows you the existing commercial bay tenants, and you can see the anchored buildings on the ground floor that provide that traffic to sustain the other retail boutique stores located on that ground floor. Next slide, please. This just shows you a quick layout of the second floor. Next slide, please. I'll skip through that. This shows you the size of the proposed residential units. And this is what I really want to just sort of
Sorry,
speak
I can't
about.
see. What's the size? What's going to be the square footage of the
So,
apartment?
so they're large, and that's what I wanted to explain. They are large. There's only 33 in total. But they range from 1,800 square feet to a little bit under 3,000 square feet in size. So they can accommodate a family, but they're loft styles. And I think the next slide is the one I'm looking for. I'm sorry, one more. Another one, please. There you go. So it shows you the loft style that we've come up with. And it's an open floor layout that'll provide for families that are starting out, families that need extra space, but maybe can't afford a single family home yet. So we were trying to come up with something that would provide those families with a modern flair that would attract residential tenants to the property and be able to go to the ground floor and shop, go to the grocery store, go to the nail salon, go to the hair salon, you know, people that can stay on site and get those amenities. Now, we have two basic requests here. One is for a special use permit. Special use permits, as the council knows, is a fancy word to say that the use is permitted in the zoning district, provided that you come to a hearing and talk about any adverse effects that it may create on the neighborhood and talk about those adverse effects and how you might be able to mitigate them. In this case, I don't think we really have any adverse effects because we are not creating a new building. We're not creating new footprint, new square footage at all. But we do have a variance for the parking, and that's what I wanted to address the council for. The variance for the parking is because one, the parking is existing. On the survey, you can see where the parking really has been maximized on that property. But in this case, when we were thinking about what we could do to activate that second floor, and the residential seemed to fit well as opposed to office, because when you talk about traffic, residential has 2 points of traffic, and those are the peak hours when people leave to go to work and when they come back to their homes. Retail has traffic during the middays. So it's almost like a shared type of use when you're talking about this mixed use project, a shared type of traffic impact associated with those parking spaces. When the retail stores are closed, the residential units get to occupy those parking spaces. So when we did the parking analysis, we actually saw that we have ample space for these types of uses because there's two different times when they occupy those parking spaces. I can go on, but I know you have, it's already almost 8 o'clock. And you may have questions for me, so I'll conclude my presentation there. And of course, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Through the chair, please.
You're recognized.
So are there going to be assigned parking?
They will be assigned parking,
Okay.
but again, they will be assigned based upon times. So maybe, you know, after 7 o'clock, it's residential only. So it's a time assignment.
Okay, so there's no assigned parking. So
Not that you would own a parking space, not that you get that parking space all the time, but there will be sections of the area that say after 6 o'clock, this is for residential parking only. And they'll probably have stickers that you can enforce that by.
got it. And you said it was 33 units?
Maximum.
Maximum
33
units.
units. Yes, sir.
Got it. All right. I mean, I like the upgrade. I think that complex been an eyesore since the first day. You know, I know a lot of businesses have closed there because of that. So that's why I'm open for suggestion here.
Yes, sir.
So it's gonna take the entire second floor.
Entire second floor. Yes, sir.
Got it. Do we at the right facing, is it still a medical center to the right-hand side?
I believe so.
Gotcha.
I think that's correct. Yes.
Okay. I mean, I like the upgrade. When is this gonna start if we approve it? Immediately or?
Immediately. It would start immediately because again, unfortunately, we have no tenants on the second floor. It's completely vacant now.
Through the chair.
You recognize.
I'll keep it brief because it's late. Were you done, Louis? Yes. Bravo. What a great idea for this wasted space right now. I'm very familiar with the plaza. When I
Thank
was
you,
a
sir.
police officer, I patrolled that area a lot. It was basically built to service Lago Grande and that whole development that was going on there in the mid-80s and beyond. But this is a great concept. I could see where the second floor was just not a successful retail space. I could see that. I don't think there'll be any parking problems here. I love the loft concept. It's going to be huge. I hope you get plenty of renters and plenty of interested people.
Thank
So
you.
I love it. I love it. I motion.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Through the chair.
You recognize.
Yeah, I know that throughout Hialeah, this concept was something that was seen a long time ago, Councilman Zogby, right? This two-story commercial center. And then with times, right, I think that concept has evolved to more like a one-story type of retail center. And so I had seen a lot of these buildings, especially up and down 12th Avenue, between 40th to 30 something. You have a lot of those, and a lot of them are empty, right? If they're not taken up by like a medical center that gets all the units, you're gonna have vacant units there. And so I think in this one in particular, I had gone to the shopping center, and I thought I saw homeless people at some point up in the
We've had that problem. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
We've had that
So-
problem often, unfortunately.
So, yeah, no, I echo Councilman Zogby's words on this, and I'm just upset he motioned before me. So.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
all
you,
right.
Councilman.
Through the chair,
You recognize.
is Mercedes Medical Center still there? The Mercedes Medical Clinics?
I can confirm at second reading. I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. So I want to get you a definitive answer. So
Okay.
I'd have to confirm that, but I don't believe so.
I know that the top story, one of them was like a school, like a medical school
It's no longer
training.
there. That's no longer there.
Right. And
Yeah.
then they went little by little, but then on the other side, which is where the Dollar Tree is, that has the Mercedes. That parking is always packed.
And that's what,
Packed.
and
So that's what I'm afraid of.
that's what we're thinking about. So when you have two competing uses like medical, right? So if you have a lot of medical, because medical is an option, but everybody goes to see the doctor during the days when you're competing with the on-site parking for retail. People are going to the grocery store. And we thought that was problematic and it just wasn't a good idea. So that's what sort of swayed us to residential, where you would have two separate time periods that would occupy, because we've had that problem with parking spaces in the past.
Yeah.
And medical drives probably more parking than any type of use that I know of. So your point's well taken.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just afraid of the parking there. And that's with the school that was already starting to like only have one unit on the top. Because before it took up the whole second floor and they went diminishing only to one of the right sides of the market. I go there for some, of something that I do. And it's always impossible to get parking there. So I'm just a little bit apprehensive if then there's gonna be also the clinic still there, even
I'll
though
get you an answer. for
somebody
that.
said that it's not there no more, but I don't remember seeing that vanish, but I can't remember.
I think it left, but I will get you a definitive answer before second reading.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
All right, thank you.
Through the chair.
You recognize.
So I've never, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because I've never really been in, or I've never really seen this situation, but I think the project is a great project.
Thank you.
So there's some retail stores below the second floor that might be a little controversial for families and children. Can that bring any problems to us? If there's complaints from families who move in there? How do we deal with that?
If
Or
I
is
may
that-
through the chair?
Yeah.
I think that if that's where you're gonna rent and that's already there, then that's your choice.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
I
you
don't
know.
think,
Yeah.
I don't think that has to do.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. If you're gonna rent somewhere and there's a vape store nearby, there's a gun store nearby,
Yeah.
that's where you're renting. That's what's there already.
Through the chair, if I may, I think it's really the argument that if it came to that would be used would be that you have gone to that site and consciously bought. It's the same argument when people move to, like, let's say, an active urban area where there is a lot of nightlife, and then they're complaining about it, but it's zoned as a nightclub area, which has some apartments. It would not be dissimilar to that same argument. You'd say it's known, and you decided to buy or rent there, as the case may be.
Through the chair.
Sure. Thank you.
Through the chair. I think that becomes a problem when we do the opposite. We have a residential area and then all of a sudden we change the use, we get a special use permit and we put a busy commercial component to what was once residential. Then they can complain. This is not what we were expecting and signed up for. In this case, the potential renter knows exactly where he's rented. People who live over Main Street, it's not as busy anymore, but Main Street, Miami Lakes used to be real busy and noisy. And people who lived up there, they had the convenience, but they were up late in Brickell.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I get it.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Zogby. I heard you second, but I think I had a second from Dundidor, right?
I don't know.
I had a motion by.
Sure, yeah.
I had a second by, okay.
That's what I have.
So motion by Zogby, second by Dundidor.
Ms. Garcia Roberts.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Junco.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 13th, 2025.
Thank you all very
Thank you.
much.
Have a good night.
Have a nice evening.
You too, sir.
Item G is postponed. Any final decision?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
adjournment. Meeting adjourned at 8:02 PM.